These are a few of my favorite things. Hello, my darling buds and May, 'tis I, Ella-Quent. And yes, you've guessed it correctly. Today we are going to talk about my favorite things, more specifically, my favorite vintage things. We're going to go over the guts, the glory, the stories, the memories, and all the reasons why these items are my favorite things. So, without further ado, let's dive into it, shall we? As you know, I am a vintage lifestyle enthusiast, and I have been collecting vintage items for a very long time. And so today I thought what I'd do is I would just share with you all some of my favorite pieces that I own, and I guess just a variety of different types of vintage items that I have in my collection. So without further ado, myself and my dear friend Suleiman the Magnificent will get started. So to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, if you've ever heard that expression, like, I didn't choose the thug life chose me, I guess I can kind of equate that to the vintage lifestyle for me. I didn't necessarily choose a vintage lifestyle. The vintage lifestyle chose me. Of course, later on I chose the vintage lifestyle. But in the very beginning, I had really no say in being a part of this lifestyle. Mainly because I lived most of my early childhood up until maybe early 20s with hand-me-downs, secondhand items. I'm sure that there is a dress that was my auntie's cousin's mother's dress long before it was my sister's or my dress. But you know, some people, when they have that type of experience, it usually pushes them to want to get new items later on. So when they get older and they're making their own money, then they tend to gravitate towards getting newer items. For me, that wasn't so much the case, partially because I don't know, there's just, maybe I'm a little woo-woo, I will admit, but there's something about the sentimentality and the memories and the backstory of everything that makes having older items, I don't know, that much more desirable or that much more meaningful. So most of my items are, you know, older. In terms of the items that I have, where I've collected them, where I've gotten them, you know, again, that's something that I could cover in a future video or a later video down the road for you guys if you're interested in it. The majority of the items that I have are either my grandmother's items, you know, family items, or even just items that I've found either in thrift stores or online, and dealing, or like estate sales, which I'll cover today as well. So that's kind of the backstory. That's a little background information about how my vintage collection was built and where it started. So I guess we can just dive right into it. Oh goodness, where to start? I'm even thinking, like, I don't even know where to start. So first I am going to reach over here and show you guys this. You guys are probably thinking, like, what in God's name is this and why do you have it? And I think, you know, for me, I'm keeping this. in fact, I don't even know how old it is, but y'all, it was made in the US of A. So there you go. What is made in the US of A anymore? I mean, that just tells you how old this is. No, I'm only kidding. This cup is actually a wedding gift that was given to my grandparents, obviously on their wedding day. So this cup has a lot of sentimental value to me because this was the cup that I would see every morning. My grandparents drank their coffee out of this cup every morning. Now this is my grandfather's. My grandmother's is in the other room. Hers is just a little bit smaller. It's really cute and it's really endearing. And it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite things because, you know, this is part of my early childhood memories. This is the stuff that I really remember my grandparents by. My grandparents on my mom's side of the family, that is. And I spent almost every summer with them when I was a young girl. Anyways, so the next thing I'm going to share with you guys of my favorite things are my purses or my bags. I am a huge lover of tapestry bags. I don't know if you guys can see that one. So especially if the bag's got a chain as the attachment to it, it's over. I'ma buy that. So I love tapestry bags, are my favorite things. This one is particularly my favorite one just because it's dainty and it was affordable. And you know, you don't really have to stick a whole lot of stuff. Like I'm not really like, well, there's nothing in there right now, but I'm not really a huge fan of like putting a whole lot of items in my bag because, I mean, have you seen my arms? I'm not exactly packing a whole lot of guns here. I don't want to be weighed down with a bag. So I like to kind of have more delicate bags with me, and it also helps me control whatever I'm bringing with me out when I go out someplace. Anyway, so that's this one. I really like this one, and I also have another one. This tapestry bag is the one that I probably carry around with me more often. This one is very well loved. I'm starting to notice that I probably have to clean it a little bit because it's getting a little weathered. But yeah, so these types of tapestry bags, it depends on how you know them. Some people call them carpet bags, C-A-R-P-E-T. Some people call them carpet bags. I call them tapestry bags. But anyway, so these are my favorite types of bags. And then I have a couple other bags and or clutches. For example, this one was my grandmother's. This was her clutch. And then she had another one that she used, which was like the chain bag that I showed you before, except this one is shiny and it's pretty and it's gold, which is my favorite color. And then I have one more favorite bag. This is a vintage Valentino clutch, and I can't remember where I found this, but what I do remember is it was like an accident when I found it. It's just so pretty. Yeah, so those are like my favorite bags, and they might also be my only bags. Moving onwards and upwards. So the next items that I'm going to share with you, these are not so much vintage pieces as much as, they're just, to me, they represent a classic set. I just feel like I am channeling Delta Burke designing women, you know? Just putting that scent on and feeling like I'm going out and being a boss for the day. And so those two scents are, for me, I really love this one. It's Chanel Chance. It smells, God. Like, why don't we have smell-o-vision? Because I wish if we did, and you guys, oh, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna put it on me right now. It's one of those complimentary scents you can put on, and it pretty much, it goes with anything. Whether it is spring, whether it is fall, whether it is autumn. Whether it is the spring, whether it is the summer, whether it's the fall, whether it's the winter, it's like an annual scent. The other one that I like, you guys can probably already see that this is very well loved right here, is Kiehl's, can you guys see that one? Kiehl's Original Musk. I don't know if you can see that very well. This is blend number 1, and it's original musk oil. It's believed to have been created in the 1920s at the Kiel Apothecary. So that one is also really good too. The real beauty of the scent is after a while, it softens. And when the smell starts to soften, it's just so subtle. It's one of those scents when you'll walk by, people will be like, oh, that's lovely. So the next thing I'm gonna share with you guys is something that I like to carry in my bag. I know that I mentioned that I don't like to carry a whole lot of stuff in my bag, but when I do, I will carry a compact, which it's kind of very like Claire's, my stylist. It is what it is. It's a compact with a mirror. Okay, so. All right, next thing, and this probably sticks out the most. You guys can see it all the way in the back there. There are pictures. My grandmother was like the family historian almost. She was a curator of damn near every possible memory that you could think of in our family. And she had these photo albums, which were so well organized. Every summer I'd come out and I would look through these photo albums of like family history. You know, this is my family's history on my mother's side of the family. And so for me, this was the way that I could connect with where I come from. Every summer I did this, go through the pictures, and my grandmother would tell me stories about the people in the pictures and, you know, where they were at that time, and all these, you know, little backstories, all these little anecdotes, all these little, just this wealth of history and knowledge that she had about our family. I'm gonna show you guys this photo album. I'm gonna have to be very, very, very delicate with it because these photos are all originals. We're talking photos back to the 30s and the 40s. So, okay, bear with me here, folks. So in terms of that, so that's the photo album for my mother's side of the family, and my father's side of the family. My father's side of the family is a little bit, it's a little bit more difficult to get items and have any recorded evidence of, like as if this is a forensic case, any recorded memories from his side of the family. But I was able to procure a couple of items from 1976 back in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and here are photos. Again, I'll take screenshots and I'll show you guys all these so you can see a little clearer. My other favorite thing is this bag. This is where I keep my jewelry. This is it. Like literally, this is it. I don't have a jewelry box. I don't have a jewelry box. I don't have anything like super, super special, but I do have staple pieces, which I put separate from all of this. And in another video, I will cover some what I consider vintage staple jewelry pieces that you don't really have to have it in your wardrobe. You can have it if you want it, but just pieces that I would suggest that if you're interested in building a vintage wardrobe, that these would be kind of go-to pieces. But anyway, so this is my jewelry bag, which is actually my grandmother's jewelry bag. And yeah, this is where I keep the majority of my jewelry. The next thing is actually what I got at an estate sale here in my neighborhood. So I went to an estate sale, and first thing I should tell you guys is that I live in the Hamptons. And if you are not familiar with the Hamptons, it is on Long Island. It is like towards like the very, 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 very end, east on Long Island. And I live in a very tiny hamlet in the Hamptons. And I grew up here. My grandparents, my mom's side of the family has been living in the Hamptons since like, oh my gosh, like early 1700s. I mean, we're an old family. It's so funny because when I would tell people, oh yeah, I'm going out to the Hamptons, or I'm gonna go spend the summer in the Hamptons, or, you know, my family is from the Hamptons and we live in the Hamptons, people will be like, they look at you differently. They're like, oh, okay. Like as if I've got money, or I'm a millionaire or a multimillionaire, whatever. That is not the case. My family is very old. My family has been here for a reason. We were escaping genocide and slavery. Okay, so anyways, so I went to this estate sale here nearby where I'm living, and they had like a bunch of different things, like furniture, pictures, and I picked up this editorial actually because my plan is to frame this, and I'm gonna put it in my bathroom. Well, sorry, King George. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to be disrespectful by putting it in my bathroom, but you know what I mean. So I found this at the estate sale, and I'm gonna frame it, and I'm going to put it in my new home. And it's an editorial from the New York Times from 1939, and the title of it is Their Majesties or Two People. And I opened this up, and at first I kind of questioned. I was like, well, is this really real? Is this like, not real, but is it really authentic? Is it from the 1930s, or is this kind of like, you know, vintage reproduction? And so I asked the lady at her home, and she said, no, this is real. This is really from 1939. Handle with care. So then I opened it up, and I was looking at it, and y'all, there is, first of all, like, this is just, I'll take pictures of this, but I opened it up, and at the very, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the heading of it, you probably can't see that, and I'm trying to be as careful about this as possible. The heading, it says, the German system of conquest, and it says like how the Nazis win their bloodless victories is told by an observer of their recent tactics. Like, this is a section in the paper which is it's literally talking about the Nazi occupation, and it's one of those moments where you go, whoa. I don't know, it's probably not really worth anything. It's probably why they sold it at the price that they sold it, but then again, they were selling their house, and so who knows when it comes to those kinds of things. Sometimes people don't know what they got, and they just get rid of it. And I just, thank you. So the next piece that I have here is this incredibly gorgeous vest. It's Turkish. And if any of you know me personally, you know why that has sentimental value to me. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll be honest, I actually don't really know how old this is, but I know that it is a vintage piece because I bought it from a dealer at the time. Not that kind of dealer, y'all. But actually I was looking for one of these because my aunt, who I told you who had the fascinating lifestyle, she used to have her own business, and she also dealt with vintage and antique items, international items as well as national items. And she used to have like this Turkish fashion. And I remember I was like, man, I really, like, I wonder if I could find a vest that was like that. It reminded me a lot of what I grew up with and part of her collection. And I found one and I flipped my lid in a good way. And so you know that I had to cop this baby. So I got this, and I'm still waiting for the day to wear it. I think I've worn it once, but it got pretty hot, so I had to take it off. But yeah, that's that. We're almost finished. All right, the next up are my boots that, yes, I do wear these. I wear these like y'all would not believe. I wear these are my favorite boots of all time. These are, obviously you could tell they are very well loved. So the backstory of these boots is I actually used to own a pair of, this is the second time I've owned a pair of these. The first pair that I bought was from 1898, just before, or was that during the Edwardian era? Can't remember. Anyway, so I used to have a pair of these, and it was from 1898. And then it just, I mean, it's from 1898. It crapped out. It was bound to happen. But then one day, my mother and I, we walked into an antique store locally nearby here. And I was just, kind of going through the store, and then I looked down, and these were hidden under like a mound of other sneakers and jackets and pants or whatever. So I picked it up, and sure enough, this bad boy fit like a glove. Because let me tell y'all something, not to be inappropriate here, but I have the world's skinniest foot. Like it's almost impossible for me to fit anything. I wear an average size. I'm like an 8.5, but between an 8 and 8.5. But my foot is so narrow, so it's really quite difficult for me to just wear the average shoe. But I put these on and they fit perfectly, and I was like, I don't care how old these are, I'm walking out here today with them. So for $30, I bought these boots, which are not from 1898, but they're from 1945. They were somebody's military boots from Mountain, Ohio, and I bought them, and I wear them ever since. I love these. They're like my favorite shoes. I love them. I am a sucker for vintage cars. Like, I want a vintage car so bad, and I love the Woody. Oh God. Or like the Pontiac convertible. I love vintage bags, handbags, clutches, handbags. My other weakness are hats. Y'all don't even know. One of my bigger weakness is not just the hats, but a specific type of hat. I am a sucker for a good pillbox hat. Exhibit A. Maybe this is not your forte. Maybe this is not your thing, but it is my thing. And everything about this hat, so pretty. What's really interesting is people will ask me, they'll be like, do you really wear this stuff out? And yes, I do. Got cloche hats, like cloche that I just love, that are very, very like 1920s, 1930s hats that I absolutely love. So for another video, I'll do like a lookbook video for you guys, and I'll show you what outfits I typically wear with these hats, and show you how I bring all the elements together to make an outfit. Wait, there's two more things I need to show you, and then we're done. The next thing I'm going to show you guys, I know is actually a topic of controversy. It sparks a bit of controversy when talking about it. So that is the topic of wearing real fur. So, but I loved it because I have very long arms. I'm a very slender, lanky gal. And as you can imagine, in the wintertime, that doesn't bode very well. So, fur has always been kind of my go-to, just really sheerly for the fact of warmth. And what I really liked about this as well is not only does it have long arms and it has a tapered wrist, but it also has strong shoulders, which again, like this dress, this would be considered strong shoulders because, well, there's shoulder pads in it, but strong shoulders are the ones that are very, they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? English. I'm looking for English. They give a very, very refined silhouette to your figure. So I'm always like a big fan of strong shoulders. And what I love about the look of strong shoulders is it reminds me of a lot of the kind of bespoke suits of the 40s and you know, the early 40s, mid 40s, kind of a time where everybody was wearing very tailored looks. And then I've got this one, which I don't know if you guys can see, but it clasps here at the front, and then there's also a clasp to close it shut. There's also a clasp to close it shut there. And this is also my other favorite piece. This is from 1942. So this jacket is from 1942. I don't know. Somebody in my family owned it because I inherited it, and I am very grateful for it because it gets quite cold on the East Coast, and wow, it just gets cold in the wintertime. Oh wait, I almost forgot one more. This guy. This guy. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering, Gabriella, why do you have why do you have a sultan in your home? More importantly, why do you have a sultan on a pillow? I don't know why I have, especially why I have him. I could have had anybody on this pillow. I could have had like Tarkan. I could have had like Burak Izcevit. I could have had any other Turkish person on this pillow, but I have him. And the truth of the matter is, I saw it on Poshmark. I thought it was a beautiful pillow. It looked very Baroque-esque, and I was like, I need that pillow. So it's also an interesting conversation piece when people come by. They're kind of like, So I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning into my channel. This is a labor of love. So if you guys are interested in following me in other social media channels, I run a vintage lifestyle blog called Ella-Quent.com. I am also on Twitter. I am on Instagram. I am on, what else am I on? I'm on Pinterest. I'm on just about most social media channels. So I will be sure to leave all the links in the description box below, and I will also leave a little bit of a blurb at the end of this video. Lots of love and lots of laughs, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Love you later.